assessment is the way it should be, right? If you don't meet your assessment, well, then you're going to have force protection issues in that unit, in the country, in situ. Leadership-wise, competency-wise, probably equipment and platform-wise, okay? Our grades are going through it at the moment in respect of, and like again, if they don't meet the level, right? So I suppose DKO, PKOs, they have actually taken this seriously, right? So making sure, for example, that the TCNs should be, and I use the phrase in inverted commas, should be proficient, okay, and able to carry out the taskings and the mission, right? And part of that then is to understand the whole force protection. Because if you put in troops into the mission area, right, that are not competent or properly trained, you're going to end up with problems in force protection. So I mean, so in relation then to the physical aspect of, when people are deployed, and that's the first part of it. Second part, I think that DPKO have to ensure. I mean, they have a role to play in this. I mean, you saw, for example, the events of again, we're going to another the events in the Congo last year, where the Tanzanians, right at the Lufta Bridge, I think that's the name of the location, where all the deaths, about 30 odd of them were killed, and really came down to force protection. Now, that to my mind was a responsibility of obviously the force commander, but surely DPKO should have ensured that a minimum standard for those. Like if you saw the pictures where those guys were placed in an exposed position on the bend of a river with a huge forest in the background, with absolutely, and a bit of wire around them, they had no chance. So I would say to you, they have a role to play in making sure the troops going out there are properly up to standard, first and foremost, and secondly that force protection is taken seriously at the tactical level on the ground.
Okay. So that, I think, leads into the cruise report. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I actually have an I've been sure to be familiar with it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so just a question on that, I suppose, is what influence has the cruise report had on the approach taken towards force protection on UN missions?
Well, first of all, I would say to you, I suppose, ultimately the cruise report is, to my mind, is about reducing casualties, okay, reducing deaths on these particular missions, okay. If you look at some of the actual basically the things that talk about here, right? Okay, like force protection, as I said earlier, is not just about the physical structures, it's not about the platforms. I mentioned leadership, okay, and in the cruise report it speaks about a deficit in leadership. It speaks about the operational behaviour, where, for example, people aren't fully risk assessments haven't been done in the past, particularly in the area of counter IED, where, for example, we speak about the need to go to a more intelligence-based UN peacekeeping type of scenario, and they're doing this, in fairness, in DPKO, and this should, in my view, inform better force protection. Right. Yeah. Okay. And the other thing, I in relation to the cruise report, they have put in place kind of timelines in relation to things. I'm not quite sure whether these have been met. Like for example, by last year, by February of last year, there was to be the prioritisation provision of defensive stores to these various missions, right? By May of last year, there was to be safety audits conducted, making sure that SMR, that main supply routes were properly secured and safe. That any additional capability that was needed was certainly identified. I'm talking here about maybe night vision equipment, counter IED training, okay, a more focused, updated, intelligence-led UN, and they have started to do that. I mean, in the context of the UN, they're rolling out, for example, in Entebbe, right, under our own officer Kevin O'Riordan, courses specifically geared towards intelligence, not just intelligence gathering, but analysis and deductions from that. So, for example, the Entebbe courses that we have actually, the Irish Defence Forces have actually paid for in concert with the New Zealanders. People would be brought in from the African missions, particularly the South Sudan, the Mali missions, brought into Entebbe, put through a course on military, and then they're sent back out then